everybody, it's Lee from PanelsOnPages.com, and we're back for another episode of the Toy Box. Last time we looked at the biggest Transformer ever made for our first episode, Generations Metroplex. So this time we're going to go way back in time. We're going to go back to 1987, to what was, at that time, and up until just recent weeks, the biggest Transformer ever made. We're talking about the original Transformers Generation 1 Fortress Maximus. They didn't make them like this for a long time, and really to this day. Metroplex still not quite in the same league, for reasons we'll take a look at in a little bit. We'll even show you some comparisons between the two, to kind of give you an appreciation for new school versus old school. So this thing had 3 modes. We're going to gloss over the second one pretty quick because it's really stupid. But we're going to look at the big guy, Big Mamma Jamma, a Headmaster, double the Headmaster, as a matter of fact. What's a Headmaster, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to take a look at the biggest, baddest Headmaster to ever exist, G1 Max, on the PanelsOnPages.com toy box. Check it out. So here's G1 Max. This is the guy. This was the one, the biggest of them all for, hell, decades, up until very recently, thanks to the Generations Metroplex. But this was the holy grail for many collectors. Aftermarket prices were through the roof of this dude. I mean, we're looking at, you're talking hundreds of dollars. They just either recently have or soon will re-release him in an encore release from Takara in Japan. But the price tag on the re-release figure is like $300 for re-release. You can get a damn near complete original for $300. So I'm not sure what they're smoking there. Maybe it's the fact that it weighs like 15 freaking pounds. Like, you know, there's no way to capture that on video, honestly. But I mean, this thing is really freaking heavy. If you want to, you can beat someone to death with this. That's how damn heavy it is. Mine is also a version of stickers. The guy that gave it to me, that's right, friend gave it to me. Shout out to Kerouac. Did not believe in stickers as a child, so he's pretty sticker free. I added an Autobot symbol up here and the one for his tower, which we'll see in a minute. But that said, I mean, the overall design aesthetic kind of holds up. It's not bad. Like, it's still a really solid looking figure by today's standards. The big defining characteristic for 4Max, besides his sheer size, was his guns. So he had guns in his wrist, he had guns over here that flips out of his forearm panels, and he has guns on his damn shins, because you know what, why wouldn't a gigantic city robot have guns on his shins that after 25 plus years would be very hard to get out and stand up straight? Yeah. Those are guns, trust me, they work. And then he has these crazy guns that pull out from the tower section of his body that turn around. And yes, the arms do obstruct them from coming out. Go figure on that. Weird design choice, but he has these awesome, almost phallic, but not quite phallic as this crank, guns. So, 4Max armed to the friggin' teeth. No doubt. Also worth mentioning that not only is 4Max the biggest Transformer ever, he was also the biggest Headmaster ever. And that's something you don't really see a whole lot of today. Even like in the comics, some Headmaster characters like Dome and Brainstorm are in the books, but they're not actually Headmasters themselves. So there's no better way to say, hey, what's the Headmaster? And let's do it with the big guy himself. Let's show the Headmasters for 4Max, which actually is a Headmaster in itself. That's right, kids. 4Max is a double Headmaster. Let's take a look at it. All right, towards the end of the line for Transformers, they were all about the blank masters. Your Headmasters, your Target Masters, Action Masters, Micro Masters. They love to master things. First one of those were the Headmasters. Actually, they were concurrent with the Target Masters. Target Masters were packaged with little partners that turned into guns. The Headmasters were packaged with partners that turned into heads. And 4Max is the biggest of all the Headmasters. The head here has been custom painted. I painted this guy. I painted the eyes and the antenna to make him look more, you know, G1 accurate or whatever, because I didn't have the sticker sheets. But here's the deal. His head, which, you know, you'll see here, is not small. It, you know, fits in the palm of my hand, so it's fairly significant. Transformed into a robot all on its own. kind of slip down, hide the face, turn it around, flip the fist, and flip out the little hidey hole here, and there you go. This is Cerebros. He is Fort Max's headmaster, and so he stands. Let's go. I got Prime out here. I can Prime out still, so he's not quite as tall as Optimus Prime, but still not small. He's actually, he's big in my hand, so he's pretty cool. It's kind of neat. The only thing I'm missing here for Fort Max is I'm missing Cerebros' guns, and also the parts to make COG. There were some spots on the feet for Fort Max you may have seen, and they basically were two little cards that pegged together to make COG, a little drone figure. But he's not terribly important. This guy's the one you want. Without him, you only got the head. But one of the things sort of unique to the headmasters, the small ones, your Chrome Domes, your Brainstorm, stuff like that, was this little bit here, where once you put that bit in here, what it does is you pull this down and gives you these stats, speed, strength, and I'm going to say intelligence, perhaps. And so once you push these down, it gives you like a readout. And Fort Maxes are all over the place. They're all full because he's super fast, strong, and smart. But again, since this is a feature common to your actual run-of-the-mill headmaster figures, that means that this guy is too, on his own, also a headmaster. So his head comes off and transformed into get another friggin' smaller dude. So that's neat. This guy is actually Spike, as in Spike Witwicky, the kid that ran around through the first couple seasons and grew up to become a man right before our eyes in the G1 cartoon. So hey, Spike actually did have a figure, if you want to call it this, and why wouldn't you? It also made the same appearance in the tail end of the cartoon as well, so that's cool. Headmasters, kids. Maybe you've learned something today. Woo! We're going to transform this guy. Before I do, I figured it might be smart to give a sense of reference for kind of how big he is. I mean, we showed last week what it looks like next to, or last episode, as I say, what it looked like next to the new generation's Metroplex. And he's obviously enormous. But what does that mean, like, in the moment, like of the air itself? So this is a G2, which is Optimus Prime, which is the same mold as the original G1 Optimus Prime. So if you transform him in all of these 3 seconds it takes to do that, get an idea of how freaking big Fort Max it was. Compared to his contemporaries in the toy boxes. So I mean, obviously, he's huge. He's really freaking big. And a lot of his play features were meant to be used with the mini cars like Cliff Jumper, Brawn, Bumblebee, stuff like that, the Micromasters when they came out. It wasn't uncommon for there to be larger scale Transformers, like larger than we see now. Metroplex being the obvious exception, but the so-called city bots, your Trypticons, your Metroplex, what have you, were certainly nowhere near this. This guy was an anomaly for a long time. So let's get that out of the way. Let's take a look and see. We're going to transform him. Here's the thing. He's got technically 3 modes. The city mode, which I'm very familiar with, this guy. But he also has a spaceship mode. And to be quite honest with you, I don't much care for it. And I don't really remember how the hell it's supposed to work. Like, it basically involves kind of laying him down and splaying his arms and legs out in a weird way. And I don't really remember the exact configuration. It's kind of stupid. So I'm not really going to show it to you. I defy you to find anyone that actually has a Fort Max that's like, holy crap, I love me that spaceship mode. It's awesome. I put it in all the time. No one does that. So, let's put him in city mode and call it a day, shall we? And again, it's not incredibly complex, much like Metroplex because of the sheer size of it, but it's cumbersome. It's not easy to do because of how big and heavy this thing is. It's harder to do this one, oddly enough, than Metroplex because of how heavy he is and the joints. Even by, these things are old by now, but the joints are so tight, like it's just not easy to get it done. But we're going to do it anyway. you know, for science. The arms come back, and I do love this part. This whole thing here splits out and becomes this central tower for the city itself, which that's kind of awesome. You gotta like that. Here, and this bit. I want to say, in theory, you may be able to pause this at some point, but like, oh, cool, there's a spaceship, but you know, whatever. But he's got wheels on the bottom for rolling the spaceship. I think this is the spaceship. Maybe you kind of take the legs and, you know, make them at H or something, but who cares? Whew, alright. Freaking heavy. The legs come out like this. It's so heavy. Actually, first I want to pull these little doors out, which we'll look at in a minute to kind of show some of the cool play features. But there's a whole cabin there all the way through this thing, so that's kind of rad. But it's not easy to do, I'm telling you. For a variety of reasons. I mean, the good news is, you know, these hard drives, he's not going to fall over. I mean, he's got a really good center of balance. Like, he's really well proportioned. I mean, he's not going to fall over. So the joints are doing their job, for sure. This little radar array thing here. Since it's a G1 city, you can't forget the ramps. Ramps are very important to Transformers city bots. Otherwise, how are they going to get up there? They got to be able to roll up there, you know? I gotta go down like that. Lift it around. There's a little door on this side. And the staircase. I'll show you that off in a second. And pull this guy like that. Take Spike, and Spike can chill in this little spot right over here. I guess it's the cockpit for the spaceship, I guess, which I can't stress enough how little I care about that spaceship. So, it's this, and then you don't fully transform Cerebros, but he kind of ends up chilling out a little bit. Just kind of because. Right there. Oh, right. Oops. There he is, yeah. So he slides in like that. Nestles in safely. And the guns kind of go however. So you kind of position these however you want to. But basically this is the G1 Fort Max. And it's a really cool, I mean it's big, it's sprawling, but it's oddly sort of like compact as well. It really gives off the sense of it's the big base, you know. The big thick legs give this really cool illusion of towers. And they re-released this mold in the Robots in Disguise line in the late 90s, early 2000s, close to the late 90s. And as Brave Max, which gave him new, darker colors, but they also gave him some stickers to fill in these spots here, like these ridges here, which will show a little more detail in a minute up close. But the stickers were like black bands with little sporadic yellow lights in it, where they look like, you know, lit up windows in the skyscraper all up and down the tower here. And that was a really cool touch. And kind of the stickers are a lot better on Brave Max, but I do like the colors overall better, much better on the Fort Max. So let's take a look at some of the play features of this dude, because he's got some pretty cool stuff to show off, and then we'll wrap it up. Right, for starters, you have this bit over here on the right, and this is billed as a repair bay. I guess you could put some of the mini cars on here to have them kind of staged in these multiple platforms. And the other leg has this jail cell. you put one like a Micromaster, any smaller villain, you know, you can kind of put this door open, and you can go in there, but I don't have any fingernails, and it's really hard for me to get the door open, so I'm not gonna. But the rest of it is all here on the front, and there's some pretty cool stuff. I don't have a G1 mini bot handy right now, but I do have Bot Shots Bumblebee, and he's basically the same size as G1 Bumblebee, so you kind of you at least get an idea how it worked. So that little bit like there, and it wasn't spring loaded, but if you slid it forward, you could, you know, in theory, rock these little dudes down the ramp. So, you know, that's fun. How cool is that? Say hi to Bumblebee. So, the other one is a little bit more practical, a little bit. It's over here on the side. I just kind of, we showed the peekaboo window we were transforming it. You can take the bot. I'll see, now this is why using a bot shot's a bad idea. The spring-loaded thing is going to be the death of me here. But you roll up your Bumblebee, your Brawn, basically any of your mini bots, the little tiny cars. And you take the crank that was by Metroplex's crotch in robot mode, and you basically turn that crank, and it's going to raise this elevator shaft up. And it's a little tight, because right between those back legs, so it's not easy for the adult hand to get to. Frankly, I don't know that it'd be easy for the child hand to get to. But you turn it until it stops, and then there's a button on the other side. Actually, no, it's on this side. Button right here, right behind the, I think they call it a communication tower or something for Cerebros. But hit this button here, and it flings the ramp up, whoop, and out comes the bot. Not gonna lie, that's kind of neat. So you can deploy them out, and then this little radar thingy spins, because that's just like, that's just a fun time. Why wouldn't you like that? So, lots of cool stuff. You know, not entirely unlike Metroplex. This thing's a playset and an action figure. I mean, really, really cool. And, you know, I can imagine just crapping my pants getting this thing as a child. I mean, because this was, you know, this was a $100 Transformer in the late 80s. And that's a lot of damn money. And, again, just heavy, this thing. So, that's Fort Max, kids. There's really nothing not to like about him. He's pretty awesome. Fortress Maximus, for years the undisputed king of transforming robots. Massive. I mean, sure, a little dated by today's standards. Could he have had more articulation, better range of motion? Sure, but this is 1987. This is years ago. They just didn't make him that way anymore. They didn't make him for decades that way. I mean, it's massive, and even today, they just, unless you've ever held one, you can't really get an appreciation for how damn big it is. It's a massive chunk of toy. Very cool. I love having the big guy in my collection. Him and Metroplex are going to live together for the rest of all toy eternity together. It's going to be lovely. They're going to get a civil union and all that stuff. It's, you know, common law. They're going to have the same benefits as other couples. Robot, you know, rights are coming, folks. Just keep an eye out for it. You heard it here first. So that's it for this week on the Toy Box. Check out PanelsOnPages.com for more, hell, hundreds, thousands more articles, written articles about toys from yesterday and today, and everything else you could possibly want to tickle your nerd funny bones. Comics, movies, toys, TV. Do you like it? We even got an anime thing going on. Anime, who would have thought? You know, you like anime, right? Go check it out. Listen to the podcast, Tuesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. All those links right down in here. So thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you next week. We're going to go a little different with some other transforming robots that have always been near and dear to my heart. So, thanks for watching.